The Russian Studies program at Kuban State University had been worked out in cooperative efforts with the Advisors Committee of the Associated Colleges of the Midwest. Our curriculum and teaching strategies are defined by the rich perspectives of cultural anthropology and an interdisciplinary approach. In addition to the traditional language, literature, and history classes, the students are offered an experience in the Russian style of life, in Russian manners, traditions, beliefs, ethics, and even aesthetic values. Taman is an essential part of this program. The students actually perform Kuban regional history. They start with the early traces of the Greek settlements. Then they move to the Cossack pioneers. They also participate in a Cossack wedding party, and they stage a theatrical adaptation of Lermontov's poems and of chapters from his A Hero of Our Time.
When are the most vivid impressions made on a person? Of course when she or he is traveling. Over 3 unforgettable days in Taman, located in the south of Russia, the town indelibly impressed itself into our memories and hearts.
I know that Russia is the largest country in the world, and I know a little bit about the great Russian writers Pushkin, Dostoevsky, and Lermontov. But what else can we learn about Russia?
Well, we'll see the dense forests of the Caucasus Mountains and the high rocky shore of the Black Sea. We will experience Russian hospitality and meet real mustachioed Cossack men and cheery Cossack women, something possible only in Russia, and even more so in the Kuban. Such a dream became a reality thanks to the active support of Vladimir Andreevich Babushka, rector of Kuban State University, Elizabeth Hayford, president of the Associated Colleges of the Midwest, and Luisa Petrovna Pashmakova, head of the Department of Russian and Comparative Cultural Studies, along with Irina Vladimirovna Rayushkina, vice director of the International Affairs Department, and many others.
Это давние связи, давний контакт нашего ректора, как вы знаете, академика Владимира Андреевича Бабешко. Это его, собственно, дитя, которое контакт он нашел 14 лет назад, почти даже 15, с Ассоциацией колледжей Среднего Запада, президентом которой является Элизабет Хейфорд.
We set off on a journey to Taman, together with a group of Russian students on the academic program Taman как феномен русской культуры, or Taman as a phenomenon of Russian culture. The Kuban began in Taman with the landing in 1792 of the Zaporozhye Cossacks on the Taman Peninsula. This picturesque corner of the Kuban occupies 2,000 square kilometers.
На заре тишина, небо ясно, над лиманами хрупкая рань. Мифилади, славянская сказка, это светлое имя Таман.
Our expedition begins on the 19th of September with a visit to the unique open-air museum of military technology, Voyenная Gorka, in the town of Temryuk. We actually wound up here by chance, as the first planned stop of our trip was still some distance away, but we didn't regret it.
Never before in my life had I seen such a huge collection of military equipment. Artillery, airplanes, military ships, and tanks all together in this outdoor museum.
One time this airplane flew, and this tank probably fired on the enemy.
I couldn't imagine myself operating one of these old fighting machines in a real war, so instead I played the groom at a traditional Cossack wedding, but more on that later.
Our acquaintance with Cossack traditions began with a visit to the Historical Museum in the Stanitsa Starotitorovskaya. According to ancient Russian custom, we were met with salt and bread. And we simply fell in love with Olga Yakovlevna, the founder of this unique museum.
And we discovered that the local residents have been collecting materials for the museum for more than 10 years. In the displays of the museum, we were able to see the real implements that families used for hundreds of years.
Here is the dress that a Cossack woman wore to her wedding. And here's a makitra, a predecessor of the contemporary refrigerator. Milk could be stored in it without spoiling. The old wind-up record player, the great-grandparent of the modern CD player, was most interesting.
Despite the fact that it's almost more than 50 years old, it still works. For the Kuban Cossacks, however, classical music on records was mostly an exotic thing. The Cossacks preferred folk songs, which they played at all of their ceremonies, especially a gala Cossack wedding like the one presented to us by the folkloric ensemble Хуторянка.
Как зовут?
Jason.
We've chosen Jason as a groom. Джейсон будет у нас жених. Все неженатые, холостые ребята будут его дружки, будет его свита. Они придут с ним.
In the old days, Cossack weddings took place only up to October 14th, the festival of the protection of the Virgin. If a young girl was not married by this date, she waited another full year. That's why an old Russian proverb says, "A young girl will cry rivers of tears waiting for the next festival."
Здравствуйте, люди добрые!
Здравствуйте, коли не шутите!
Говорят, в этом доме девица есть, что не можно глаз отвесть.
Есть такая девица в этом доме, ну а вам-то что?
Дайте нам девку, дайте нам красную, красную хорошую, полную розу черноброву.
На что вам девка, на что вам красна,
Красная хорошая, полная роза черноброва. Надо нам девка, надо нам красна, красная хорошая, полная роза черноброва.
When the young couple arrives at the husband's home, his mother and guests shower them with walnuts so that the children will be strong, with coins so that they'll be rich, with candy so that life will be sweet, and with grains so that the clan will continue.
По-моему, это очень хорошая традиция. Моя жена понравилась. Да, it's a wonderful place. I like it a lot. It's very pretty. People are really nice, and they have really cool games.
After a loving kiss, the groom and bride have only one thing left to do.
To sit down to a rich wedding feast.
Запрягай-ка, батька, лошадь, да серую лохматую. Поедем, батенька, да в хуторочек тот, девчоночку засватаем. Поедем, батенька, да в хуторочек тот, девчоночку засватаем.
4 двора, из ворот ворота, а на 5-й двор живет миленький мой.
A wedding is a wedding, but we had a new journey ahead of us. The next day, we went to the Taman Archaeological Museum. It's hard to believe that so many different ancient cultures all came through this relatively small place. These cultures included Sumerian, Maotic, Scythian, Sarmatian, Greek, and Tatar.
The famous Silk Road from China even passed through this land. And the mother of the famous Greek orator Demosthenes was born here as well.
All of these museum artifacts have been collected by the painstaking efforts of archaeologists, historians, and museum specialists. This amphora, in fact, was just barely saved from a layer of soil on a cliff above the sea. After a small landslide, it was found actually hanging out over the water.
Here is one of Lermontov's verses about the seashore. Ночевала тучка золотая на груди утеса великана. Утром в путь она умчалась рано, по лазури весело играя. Но остался влажный след в морщине старого утеса. Одиноко. Он стоит, задумался глубоко, и тихонько плачет он в пустыню.
The sea is calm and majestic. Every crash of waves recalls the history of days long gone by. The sea is a silent witness to those days which unite past and future generations. As the poet says, «Бегут умирая, волна с волной, могила одной, колыбель для другой».
Only the sea remembers all the history of Taman. In 1792, an imperial decree by Catherine II sent the first Zaporozhsky Cossacks to the Tumu-Tarakan land. These soldiers and frontier farmers guarding the south border of the great Russian Empire, led by the Ataman Savabieli, built here a military fort. And in 1911, on this very spot, the grateful descendants erected a memorial to the first Cossacks to step on this fertile land.
This grand monument depicts a Zaporozhsky Cossack. We see him with a weapon in his hand and garbed in traditional military clothing. The Russian students, our new friends, were even able to fit into the old uniform that the Cossacks wore. And here is a descendant of a Kuban Cossack. He is showing clothing that belonged to his grandmother.
The Cossacks settled along the entire southern border of Russia. They carried with them through the centuries the courage and valor of Russian arms and the great spirit of Russian Orthodox culture. And the ringing of the church bells of Taman still lives in the heart of every Cossack. The Church of the Protection of the Blessed Virgin was established in 1794. The bells of this unique architectural monument, according to legend, were cast from old Cossack battlefield cannons.
The third day was the 21st of September. I read that in September 1837, the great Russian poet-writer Mikhail Lermontov was in Taman. Here is how he writes about it.
Taman is the worst little town of all the seacoast towns in Russia. I almost died of hunger there, and moreover an attempt was made to drown me. The full moon shone on the rush roof and the whitewashed walls of my new abode. In the yard, within an enclosure of cobbles, there stood all awry a second hut, smaller and more ancient than the first. Almost at its very walls, the shore fell abruptly toward the sea, and below, with an incessant murmur, the dark blue waves splashed. The moon mildly surveyed the elements, both restless and submissive to her, and by her light I could distinguish, far from the shore, two ships, whose motionless black rigging was outlined gossamer-like against the pale horizon.
This enclosure was established in 1976 to commemorate the events of September 1837. It's possible that Lermontov actually stayed here when he visited Taman. Today, it is the Lermontov Museum. Here, in every detail, in every object, we can feel Lermontov's presence.
And from this cliff, it is possible the poet saw a lonely sail. Белеет парус одинокий в тумане море голубом. Что ищет он в стране далекой? Что кинул он в краю родном? And here on this very place now stands a bronze statue of the poet by the sculptor Brodsky.
На севере диком стоит одиноко, на голой вершине сосна, и дремлет, качаясь, и снегом сыпучим, одета, как риза она.
За каждый светлый день и сладкое мгновенье, слезами и тоской заплатишь ты судьбе, мне грустно, потому что весело тебе.
Бедняк, иссохший, чуть живой от глада, жажды и страдания. Куска лишь хлеба он просил, и взор являл живую муку, и кто-то камень положил в его протянутую руку.
Our trip to Taman, where ancient Cossack and Russian cultures are all mixed together, concluded with a wonderful evening of Lermontov's poetry, adding to our vivid impressions and memories of this trip.
Like a perfectly preserved Greek vase, like an exceptionally well-crafted literary work, like a local cultural tradition, our experiences in Taman will forever live on in our hearts. We weren't just tourists. We took an active role in this program, immersing ourselves in the history of the culture of southern Russia, improving our language skills, and of course, making new friends. Литературный музей Лермонтова, потому что мне нравится писать, и потому что он был поэт, и я хочу быть писателем. Мне очень понравилось музей Лермонтова.
Россия очень красивая, люди в России очень добрые.
Я, может быть, хочу жить здесь после колледжа. Все.
Я люблю Россию, но странную любовью.